Well, what if like the theory of evolution was actually created by God?
Yeah. Sure, exactly.
Like, what if this is his master plan? What if God is just fucking with us so hard right now that it's just like, all right, I'm going to throw science in there and be like, you think that you're going to know what's going on?
I don't
This doesn't make any sense because you measure me.
I don't think that would be fucking with us. I think that's literally giving us the like, this is how I did it, and we're like, two separate sides. A and B. It's like, oh my God. Come away with me in the night. Come away with me, and I will write you a song. Hello and welcome to another episode of Midnight Falafel. Tonight we're going to be discussing having a familiar crowd. We're going to be with Weezie, Bali, Jason, and Pedro again at Nathan's house with yours truly, Moxie. Discussing a little bit about what we feel maybe about spirituality and science, and Pilu giving his occasional opinion as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and let's go into that.
The word Cattywampus, which I love to teach everybody all the time. Cattywampus, basically, the definition of it means to travel. Cattywampus.
Cattywampus?
Wampul.
Cattywampus?
Yes.
Cattywampus.
Which means to travel with purpose towards a vague destination.
In what language?
Okay.
English, I'm assuming.
Really?
Yes.
Is that an English word?
I'm Googling this shit.
Definitely Google it.
Continue your story. I'm Googling. I am live fact checking.
Isn't cattywampus to do the opposite?
Cattywampus, verb, origin, English, slang word, definition, to travel in a purposeful manner towards a vague destination.
Yeah, I love that.
And what I love about San Miguel is we're all in that stage.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out exactly what we're doing with some purpose, and the people that remain here over the years are the people that are actually trying to achieve that. We're all in very different aspects of our life.
Yeah.
And we're all maybe not confused, maybe not 100% sure, but we're figuring it out.
That's why I love
and we
that
all
definition.
have the same idea that we know that there is something else out there that we really want to do. And we can see it in everybody that we interact with because we are building one another up, even if we're not in the same industry.
Yeah, no, for sure. But that's why I love the definition of it, because it's like you actually have a purpose of not knowing what you're doing. You know? So it's like...
Embrace
because
it.
no one really knows how life goes. Like, everyone can tell you, like, the older people, your parents, your older friends can tell you, like, oh, life is this and this, but you never really know what's ahead of you. But if you actually have a purpose, but not really a purpose, at least you
not a goal.
It's kind of like the American dream.
Yeah,
that you can manifest your own destiny.
That's funny, we were just talking about this.
But at the same time, me being an American, I realize that there is a greater chance of me realizing whatever dream that I have being outside of America. And it's the idea of manifest destiny, but it doesn't have to be just a national thing.
No.
And I realize that so much more.
It's not just national, it's also social and racial.
It's yourself. It's
Yeah,
realizing
exactly.
your
It's
potential.
yourself.
It's realizing
No
what
matter
you
where
really
you
are
are,
and trying to find it.
Yeah, and no
in
matter
the
where
places
you are,
that's
no matter who you are.
opportunistic.
Yeah, no matter where you are, who you are, and where you want to be, it's like you at least you're trying to give a purpose to your life, even though that you really don't know what life is. You know, so like finding the meaning of life or finding your end goal has always been the question. You know, and it's very interesting because that sentence actually gives you like I actually have a goal, but I don't have an end meaning. You know?
Well, see, that's the difference between philosophy versus religion. Because during the Renaissance, when you had all the philosophers, they were purely seeking the meaning of life, whereas religion tells you what the meaning of life is. But at the same time,
before spirituality.
but they're both going towards the same angle. It's like, hey, we're going to tell you what the meaning of life is, or you're going to find the meaning of life yourself. You know. And one of my personal beliefs too is that the ultimate point of enlightenment is when science and religion can explain each other. It's the apex point where slowly religion and science are both starting to slowly.
Maybe I would argue instead of religion, spirituality.
Spirituality,
mysticism.
Yes.
You know,
Well, that's the thing with
kind of
spirituality and science.
Because religion has been taken advantage of by leaders, who use religion to, but pure spirituality, whether it be Christianity, Islam, whatever the fuck you believe in, they're going like science. Science is starting to explain religion, and religion is starting to explain science.
Everything just reached the same.
So the point of the apex point of enlightenment is going to be when those two things make sense.
Like,
Almost every religion, not cults, but religion.
Yeah.
They all have very similar staple points.
Of course. Exactly.
Because that's really the fucking point.
Yeah.
And it can be misconstrued very easily because, in my opinion, not being completely spiritual, even though I'm starting to appreciate it a lot more, but spirituality can be very misconstrued because it can almost be a selling point. I mean, in religions that are defined right now, there's texts, there's scriptures, all that kind of stuff. People believe what those texts are.
Yeah.
A couple religions really divulge in a lot of different things because people perceive the text to be what they understand it to be, which is very much the argument of nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Where if you grow up with an Orthodox Christian family, that's what you can believe unless you really object. You say that you're not going to believe in that at a very young age and do it as a rebellious act.
Yeah.
But these things all start to build off, and they start to all be almost misconstrued, and probably sometimes construed properly based on the text. But it's very hard to actually say this is why it was written, this is why we believe in it, and blah blah blah. Because there's many different branches that go off on it. Where me, as I've said multiple times, as a scientist, like it's factual. If you erase everything that's happened in mankind. The things that we will come back to are scientific. There will be a way that we end up making our way back to those things.
But we'll also go back to morals too. We're also that's the underlying truth.
If we eliminate every religion that exists right now, there could be plenty of other religions that pop up after that are very similar to all these other things. And it's not known because it was erased and all that stuff. This is all hypothetical, obviously, because there's no way that you could really do this. Maybe, who knows? But it's just, in my opinion, with the scientific mathematical way that you go through it, it's all these things that you can measure consistently and find your way back to it. Whereas Christianity maybe wouldn't exist in 1,000 or 2,000 years from now if everything was erased.
But environmentalism and moralism have a lot in common, and environmentalism and science has a lot in common. Like they both have the underlying.
They all come together, and that's why, like, a lot of the conversations that I've had being down here, because I'm going to say it again, I'm Mr. Science over here. But San Miguel is very hippie. It's very different, which I'm okay with to a side. Like, spirituality is great. I enjoy it very much. If, in my opinion, if every religion, if every spiritual understanding was just a hippie idea of saying we're all in it together, appreciate everybody, don't do all this rape, murder, robbing.
That's never gonna happen.
Any of that shit. If that happened, I would be like, hell yeah! Like, I'm completely down with it. I don't care what religion you follow, as long as you respect everybody in your life.
But that's the truth behind all religion. All of them have the underlying golden rules behind it.
But
You know
it
what I mean?
confused.
It gets abused.
So I mean,
it gets abused, not confused.
And the same thing can happen with science. Just to put that out there.
So in London, there's Hyde Park, which is one of the biggest parks in central London, and there's a little corner in north, east, whatever. They call it the Speaker's Corner, which used to be back in the days where the poets and writers used to go and recite their poems. And now it's a religious ground. So every Sunday, a representative of every religion, every spiritual cult, and every whatever, goes there and have the little corner and they talk about it.
Yeah, it's super
interesting.
Like soapbox almost, right?
Yeah, but the thing that really bothers me was the fact that it was like, so there's a Muslim here, there's a Catholic here, there's an Hindu here, so there's like a representative.
And they're all preaching the same thing.
but they're not really. Yeah, no, it is. It is. No, the fact it is, and they're not really trying to prove. They're not really trying to preach their culture. They're really trying to prove that their culture is better than theirs.
Exactly.
Because I was listening to them, and they're like fighting because one guy is standing here, and the other guy is standing like 2 meters away from them, and they're not really preaching to the people that are around them. They're preaching to each other.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
so they're trying to prove that their culture is better than the other. And I got to a point, it's like, you guys are preaching the same thing. Everyone is fucking saying exactly the same thing.
I'm trying to prove. You guys are all talking about the same
You're
thing.
just saying that different names because your gods have different names. You're just saying that like you have different ways of seeing things, but really, you like literally everyone is just saying the same thing.
There's small differences.
Oh, no, for
between
sure,
a couple,
of course,
absolutely.
because of
But
where
on
you're
the
raised.
overall
Yeah.
atmosphere.
But their end goal was not to actually come together and preach the things. They were trying to convince people.
As a scientist, don't you agree that then there was light and the Big Bang are very similar concepts?
Nathan?
Yeah. So when I was doing my undergrad, one of the requirements was to take the biology class.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're all stuck in, like we don't really want to be in it, And so the teacher has been teaching us this whole semester, and he puts on this picture on a slide of like this, I don't know, kind of like cross between a squirrel and a, I don't know, like and he's like, you evolved from this.
Okay.
And there's, I remember this girl in the front row being like, I didn't evolve from that. And it was like, and so instead of like just being like a sort of lesson, it became like this
Argument.
An argument back and forth. And I thought the most interesting thing about the whole thing was like, by the end of the conversation, and it didn't end on that day. It ended probably like
A semester later.
Yeah.
When she graduated.
Absolutely.
He said, yes, it's at this point, biology, which is the staple of all science, is in a belief system. And so you can believe in this or not.
Faith.
It can be metaphorical or poetic or
Science is a lot of faith too. Like science
feel
is
like it
also
can
we
be
believe that this is the
metaphorical.
way it happened. Like we have a little bit of evidence to prove that our theory of this is why it happened.
Absolutely.
But it's still faith that this is how it happened. you
Pedro knows exactly where I'm coming from right now, but with the EM drive, the fact that there is something that you can put into space and not actually use energy to create propulsion is defying Newton's third law of gravity.
But it's proven.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's happening. And everybody is just like, how the fuck is this happening?
But that's what I was about to say. I think the thing that science brings that just changes everything is the
What if?
It's the asking the question why.
Yeah.
Instead of accepting
Like
someone telling you a thing,
yeah.
you know? It's not like I'm doubting that God exists or
How can I
exists or
test this?
But at least like let me ask why, you know? It's like if
Scientific
God
method.
exists, I will accept that God exists, but like let me just think about it, you know? It's
Well,
just thinking
that's
about
why science is starting to explore
Only
the
what we
possibility.
understand.
No, they're starting to explore the possibility of ghosts. There's possibility of spiritual energy after
Which
you die.
ghosts are still
they're
disproven
trying.
right now.
Like I've read an article
guys
about
keep going.
That's the
how
greatest-
they've studied how your body loses a physical weight after death.
Yeah.
And they're trying, they're trying to relate it to the spirit leaving the body. So there's
you
all
look
these
at
unknown factors that they don't know, but they're trying to explain it, and they're already looking into those spiritual aspects and how to prove
Absolutely,
it.
yes.
So one
But
of my,
real quick, the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, and then also at Fermilab in Illinois, which
I know, the second biggest
the people that are finding the Higgs boson particles, finding quarks, finding all this other stuff, are saying that there's no way that these ghosts could actually exist based on these things that they're seeing. But what I love about this part right here is that the double slit experiment that I believe that I've showed you.
I love the double slit experiment.
I love that
The
shit blew
act
my
of
mind.
perception changes how particles react.
Yeah.
And we only
That-
know
But isn't
That was
a
one of the
certain
key
amount of
things.
particles.
That wait, no,
So
yeah,
the whole
yeah.
concept
It's
is that reality is only perceived when reality only exists when you
like
see.
there's scientific
it's a
scientific
question.
proof that shit will change
When not
when
being
you
looked at.
when
When
you're
you
when
are
you're
not
perceiving
looking
it
at
when you're when you're looking
So
at
it's
it.
back to the
Wait,
whole
to
thing.
me that was one of the things that was like I can no longer ever argue like confidently about
draw the
something.
line.
I cannot ever again say
Yes.
this is 100% because it's like what if it's just how I understand it?
Yeah, perception
Because of my
is
tiny
key.
brain
Perception.
and so when people are like gravity and I'm like what if we just understand gravity as this simple thing? I'm not saying that it doesn't exist.
very
I'm,
hard.
I'm just saying that what if gravity exists in a totally different aspect?
And this is the only
That
difference,
would-
right?
how do you know?
The difference
How do you know?
is that people wrote these scriptures thousands of years ago and said this is how it actually is. We've gone through thousands of years of science to understand much more. How in the hell could you actually say that these people actually know what's going on because God shows up or whoever shows up and says this is actually how it happens? Thousands of years later, we
That's
realize
why-
all these other things.
That's what.
And we can say, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because they've said
But
the
that's
same
why I
thing
tell
for
people-
2,000 years.
That's why
when we've continued to grow.
When people are hardcore scientists, that's why I tell them honestly, honestly, same. I'll be like, honestly, same thing. When people are like, no, because blah, 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 because religious people are so, and it's like, if you are a hardcore believer in science where you won't even be like, maybe there's a perception, like, then you're just as bad as the people that are super religious.
I agree.
And you're not willing, because how can you say that your brain that is not working at its full capacity, mixed and combined with other people that are telling you things based on their perspective and like another group of perspective
Correct.
that you're trusting to be telling you the truth, where maybe science is also bought like a business like health and medicine and all
Correct,
that
yep.
things, and you're basing a huge reality based on that without
So,
having proven it and all that, and you don't question it ever. That's it. That's
So
it. That's
my
it.
question to you is, how can you trust somebody that says this is how it is and stays the course for 2,000 years, where science has continued to change over 2,000 years
I don't trust anything.
to try and find it?
I don't trust
Who
anything.
would you trust more? Somebody that says that it's right from day one, or somebody that
From
changes?
zero
But
their
that's not my
answer?
argument. My argument.
But
That's not my
no,
question.
but that's not the
Because
argument that I'm saying. I'm asking you a question. Who can you trust more?
The one that's going to be open to questioning.
Exactly.
Correct.
Science.
Which is science.
So if you have a hardcore scientist that doesn't question things and a religious person that
No,
does question
every
things,
scientist
then I will
questions it.
no,
If you are a
untrue,
scientist, you
No, I agree with Mox. I
untrue.
agree with
if you
Mox.
are-
There
I
are
agree with
scientists
Mox
that
on
will
this.
take
Yeah.
science as a religion,
Yeah,
as
and
like
they are
an
not scientists.
anti-thesis.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. They are not scientists by
there's,
definition.
okay, so there's this British scientist called Richard Dawkins. I hate him to pieces because he's an asshole.
This one's a douche.
Like, this guy's a douchebag. Like, he's a horrible human being. I hate him to pieces. But he's a very smart person. The thing is, like, the thing that I hate about him is he doesn't accept other people's opinions. He doesn't accept,
I know.
Then he's not
But-
a scientist.
Bullshit.
Exactly. One of his documentaries, he goes to like schools where there's like 14-year-old kids. Was in England, there's a lot of Muslims and all of this, and he goes to them and he's like, "Are you serious? You really think that God exists?" And I'm like, "Really, dude? Like, are you really?" But when you're a scientist, you have to be very open-minded to
You have to.
like
Otherwise
difference
you're
in
not
it,
a
you know?
scientist.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of
exactly.
scientists like Richard Dawkins that he's so into it, like so deep into it, that he does not accept other points of view. And that's not being a scientist.
That's
for me.
not being a scientist.
He is
That's
not a
what I'm saying.
scientist for me. He's a very smart person that knows a lot of
Yeah.
things, but he's not a scientist.
And he has a belief in a concept. Just
If
like
he
religion,
says that
you know?
this
Exactly.
doesn't
He
exist
becomes
and
like
he, and he
it's-
spends
yeah.
the rest of his life trying to disprove that something
Yeah.
doesn't actually exist, then he's
Exactly.
a decent scientist.
Yes, that's
He's
true.
not saying
But
that
he's
this is
not,
actually
you know?
what the truth is, but that's not what he's doing.
That's not what he's
If he
doing.
doesn't
that
believe that's what the
fits him
truth
into
is,
the
and he's trying to
category
find
of not being
scientific
a fucking
evidence,
scientist.
yeah,
This is the
that's
scientific
Exactly.
method right here.
There's this other British physicist called Brian Cox, which is my favorite scientists in the world, and he has a podcast with
Russell Brand.
And then he asks him like about God, and his answer is like, "Do you believe in God?" And he's like, "I don't know. So far, I don't know. I have no proof
and that's a
that
great
he exists,
answer.
but I have no proof that he doesn't exist." So his
Yes.
answer is like, "I don't know," and this is where he stands for. You know, even though he's like one of the most brilliant, like he believes in science. You know.
The question is
There's
he
no
trying
way
to
to
find
prove
an
it
answer?
either way.
So
Is he trying
so
to find
far,
an answer?
So
That's
far,
what makes you a scientist.
That's the thing. So far, he doesn't know, and that was like for me was the most brilliant answer to the question: does God exist? I was like, I don't know.
If you like what you just heard, follow, like, and subscribe to us on Facebook and YouTube. If you have some spare change and want to support a starving artist community, we have a Patreon page where there's incentives for donations, and we will love and appreciate you forever and ever and ever and ever. All these links will be in the description box below. With that, we bid you adieu at Midnight Falafel. Until next time.